Good morning, good evening, good night, whatever time you're watching this. Hello, I'm Norris Rowley Jr. Today, I'm going to share you the next chapter of Patty Wilkins' book. And the chapter I'll be sharing with you today is how to building a link building team. So, me as a market research manager, I have very little knowledge about how link building is conducted or what have you. However, I know what good link building is. You see the results, and we see it on the back end. So what we're going to walk through today is to see how to get this A team of link builders. How are you going to find your SWAT team of link builders? And Patty is grateful enough to just give some insight of how this is actually done and the right way to do it, and give some high level tips on how to go about doing that. So you want to ask a couple of questions before you start building a team out. Like, do you ever need a link building team? Is it something you need? Do you have the workload to accommodate a team just solely to build links? That's something you need to ask you before you say, you know what, we have a fluctuating links coming in this month, let's get a new team, but next month that doesn't transpire. So you want to make sure you have work coming in on a steady basis where a new team being built out just for building links is needed. Another question you want to ask yourself, do I need full-time people or a freelancer? Very good question, because yes, you might have an influx of work, and bringing in a new team, you're going to try to get more work to build out that team to make sure the team has work to do. But do you just need a freelancer to just come in every so often and just push links out for you and have them go about their way? How do you actually want to conduct that? And it's something you need to ask yourself and see how the organization is actually doing on a whole before you start, etching out that whole new team plan. Another question, do I have additional resources to support them? Well, do you? Do you have the additional resources to support these link builders? Do you have the people that they're going to be working with? Do you have anything to help them build links? And this is something that you just need to make sure you keep in mind when you're actually building out your team. Another question, how many are existing team members coping? How are my existing team members coping with link building? If you have a team right now that's happy building links, kudos to you. That is something they should be proud of. That's something you want to encourage. And a way you don't encourage that is pulling that away from them. So you want to measure exactly how they're dealing with it, how they're coping with it. And if it's something they don't like doing, it's something they're doing and it's like a forceful, tedious task for them, maybe bringing a new team in is something you want to look at. But if it's something they're enjoying, they're thriving at, maybe hold off on that. One of the last questions. How would my existing team feel by handing over client work to someone else? That is something that a lot of people have to deal with just on a whole, not just with link building, just in the organization on a whole. When you're actually doing something, you're good at it, you feel like you're embedded in it. How do you feel now when somebody says, you know what, you're really good at it, but we want to give it to somebody else? You want to make sure that your team's on the same page as you. You want to say, you know what, you're really good at it, but your talents can be used elsewhere. We want to bring another person to do this. Or you can say, you know what, you're really good at it, let's train somebody else to bring up on your level. So you want to make sure that your team's on the same page as you. You don't want to be the godlike entity saying you're good, but we don't need you anymore. You want to make sure that your team is always on the same page as you are, and they have the same kind of insight you have. So when you're going through this process, you say, okay, you know what? Patty, Norris made some good points. Let's go build a team. You want to ask yourself a couple interview questions. You want to make sure who you're bringing on board is somebody that fits your organization. You want to make sure they have all the key traits, the know-how, the intel, and not just on the sales side, but they actually know technology, know SEO. They know what they're doing. So you want to make sure they're fleshed out overall, across the board. You want to present them real situations that you're going through with a client. And you want to give them some high-level pie-in-the-sky situations, like if you had any tool, what would you use it for? Or what would you want? Or what have you. You want to gauge exactly how their mind works, how they are, and just to get a feel of how they be in your organization. So you got these questions, bam, questions are done, boom. Okay, so what are we looking for, Norris? Well, Patty said, thick-skinned, determined, sensitive, organized, empathetic, hustle, and sales experience. In a sense, you want a person who's a combination like Jay-Z, the Seckles guy, and Obama. You want somebody who fits all that. You want somebody who is in the middle, but not so in the middle that they feel like, they have the same kind of common knowledge as the person. You want somebody to be thoughtful, but simple. You want somebody to be educated, but simple. You want somebody who could sell ice to a penguin. You want somebody who is experienced, who feels like, they're empowered. They can speak to anybody, be comfortable in that scenario, and not have an issue at all. So you want a great, well-rounded person, but you also want somebody who's very experienced in sales. You want somebody who can sell, but not at the same time seem like it's overly forceful, but they are still selling you. So it could be a simple, gentle tactic where they say, you know, hey, Mr. Penguin, I got a couple of ice cubes. Well, I'm in the snow. Well, these ice cubes are really cold. Oh, that makes sense. Somebody gently pushing you down that alley. So you want somebody experienced, but who has the drive and is also sympathetic, empathetic. So you want somebody who's emotionally driven, but not so much that they're so cold-hearted, they don't understand the facts behind it. They want somebody to say, okay, you know what? All right, I can relate to you. I can see what you're going through. This is how I can help you. This is how I can make it better. This is what I can do for you. You want somebody who's just overall good at just being a personal person. And last but not least, you have this A team of people, great people. They have everything that Patty mentioned. They have all these skill sets. They have everything you want. How do you keep them now focused? How do you keep them in the game? A couple of things you could do. Ownership. People love owning things. Not just material things, not physical things. They like owning things. People want to know that, you know what, that's my work. They want to feel proud of it. They want something to put their stamp on and say, I did that. So you want to make sure people have ownership of whatever they're doing. Next off, incentives. Everybody likes something. You know, I like something. If I work hard, you want a little, you know, hey, here's a little pat on the back. It doesn't have to be money per se. It could be a pat on the back, like, you know, good job. It could be points to you until you get money. So almost gamify the system if you need to. But incentives on the whole, people like to be rewarded for what they're doing, especially when they're doing a really good job. Training. No matter how good anybody is, everybody could be trained on anything. There's always room for improvement. Regardless of who you are, what you do, there's always room to grow and improve. And everybody needs to be improved once in a while. So training, conducting training, having people that's involved, that is something you want to keep in mind when you have this team and you want to make sure they're growing with you. Recognition. It goes along with incentives. If people they want that pat on the back, but at the same time, if you don't have something physically to give them or cash, say, you know what, type a simple email. This person did an awesome job today. They've been doing awesome for the last month. They feel they're making the company better. Just like, you know what, saying, hey, you know what, you're doing a good job, you're gonna be recognized for it. And feedback. One of the biggest things I feel, when something is going good, nobody says anything. When something is going bad, you know, everybody comes out. Feedback is good for both sides. You want to hear the bad, but you also want to hear the good. What you're doing good, what's not going good. You want to hear both sides of it. You just want to hear like, oh, it's bad, but when the good happens, everybody's quiet. Feedback on the whole part is very important. You want to get a sense of what the team feels, what everybody's going through, and you want to make sure like, you know what, we're all happy. We're one big happy family. So that's all I have today. Thanks, Patty. Thanks, iAcquire. I'm Norris Rowley Jr. See you next time. Peace and hair grease.